Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. After yesterday's huge story, the biggest one for quite some time, it must be said, we did a follow-up. I did a quick flash video last night where the SNP were denying that this was true. Now, they're only able, I think, to say this because they've got at the husband who has been effectively silenced. The thugs have got there, they've silenced him, they've told him you will not say anything, this story needs to go away. Because obviously, if it's true, then certain people must resign. They have to. Everyone else involved in previous scandals like this has had to go. And they cannot afford for anyone to go. Least of all Humza Yousaf, for example, if it was he, which I have to be very careful about saying. I was very careful in my main story about asking questions and suggesting it was only rumour. And again, I'm only going to do that. But we're going to take a look here, first of all, at the denial, shall we say, the rampant denial that nobody believes. And then we'll look at the other half, where the husband said what was going on. The two cannot coexist in the same universe, not without thuggery. And I think there was thuggery. Here goes. So SNP breaks silence to say that the lockdown affair story is categorically untrue. And nobody believes this. The trouble with the SNP is we all know they lie about everything. Nothing they say is ever true. It's lies after lies after lies. And here we have yet another one. And they expect us to believe it after lying barefacedly for many years. They are a mendacious, two-faced, bullshitting party. The denial comes 2 days after the party was first approached for comment, and despite one of the spouses involved saying that he is relieved it is now out in the open. And we're going to have a look at that story as well within this video. We're just going to flick over to it. This is only like half the video. We're going to do this and we're going to flick over. So the SNP has officially denied claims that two of their politicians engaged in a sordid affair that was carried on during the COVID pandemic lockdowns, therefore breaking the law, breaking the lockdown rules. And given that they have always called for other people to lose their job, they don't want to bring attention to this because they don't want anyone senior in the party to lose their job. And we all know, who it is. We all suspect who it is, shall I say. Wink. Yeah? Because there's no proof, of course. But the rumours are there that it may or may not be Humza Yousaf and Anam Kazir. Certainly, that's the rumour on Twitter. It's what a lot of people are saying. It's not what I'm saying, of course. I won't say that it's them. I believe it may well be them, but I can't prove it, and so I'm not saying it is. I'm definitively not saying it's them. I'm just saying that everybody kind of thinks it's them. And if it was them, they'd have to resign. There's no question. And this, of course, is why the SNP are denying reality. They're living in a little separate universe, devoid from the rest of us, where we see what's going on. After all, the facts themselves are suspicious in their nature. Anyway, finally breaking their silence more than 2 days after they were first contacted by the Scottish Daily Express, the party said they were aware of the rumours, but add that they're categorically untrue. But given, and they must know this, given how little credence we give to anything they say because of their history of constantly lying, they must be aware that nobody is going to believe a word they say. And so denial may be policy, but denial is denied. We refuse to accept their denial. The statement comes amid speculation over the identity of the politicians, since details about the secret love affair were revealed exclusively by the Daily Express on Thursday. And yet we know who they are. We do know. We all know. I went and I suggested who it may well be. Allegedly. If you know what I've got to protect myself. One of the spouses involved has now also spoken out to say it wrecked his marriage and detailed his fear of going public because of repercussions on his family. What he's saying in that sentence is he's afraid of the SNP brown shirts, the thugs that will harm him. We've seen before how, for example, a certain nurse who spilled the beans, had to leave home, had a car blown up, was subjected to abuse. We've seen how an MP had to cross the floor of the Commons and then have protection from the security services because she dared to join the Tories because of SNP thuggery. The SNP, I'm going to outright say it, are a terrorist organisation. They're no more. They need to be listed. Anyway, the SNP statement said, "We are aware of the rumours being reported in the media concerning two particular politicians, which first circulated in February. No substantiation for these rumours has ever been offered. We simply, very simply because these allegations, they say, are categorically untrue." And yet, the husband has come out and said it's true. How weird. They say there's no evidence. The husband has come out and said it's happening. What do we believe? Do we believe the SNP, a party of sleaze, a party of corruption, a party that has done nothing for 5 years but become basically a criminal organisation? Or do we believe the husband who's been wronged? I know where I'm going to put my money. Anyway, when contacted previously, the SNP declined to comment on the record. In the full response provided to the Scottish Daily Express, the party said, "You would need to provide specifics before we could possibly comment on what sounds like spurious gossip." It's not spurious gossip. What the press need to do is grab hold of the husband, get him into a safe space, and tell him to come forth with all the details, and then that would be it. It comes as the former Scottish Tory leader Ruth Davidson warned that the names of those involved will be made public eventually, but we know who they are. It's already in the public domain. She took to X to say, "It strikes me as unlikely that the anonymity surrounding this will hold, especially when you factor in the clear public interest grounds regarding any breaking of COVID rules, plus the fact that the spouse of one of the protagonists is talking, even if not wishing to be named. We know who he is. We know who they are. We all know." Now, I'm going to cross over here, Bop, and say, this is the spouse. Devastated spouse says, "Sordid SNP lockdown affair wrecked my marriage." After the story was revealed exclusively by the Scottish Daily Express on Thursday, one of those involved says, "I'm relieved that now people know there was an affair." The spouse, the husband, is saying there definitely was an affair. We know that this is now true. And we also know now that the denial by the SNP is clear lies. Again, more lies. Lies heaped upon lies is what the SNP do. They think if they lie about everything and put lie upon lie upon lie, then the real truth will be obscured by all the lies. It's the opposite of what normally happens. Normally, you put a little lie in, but you obscure it with the truth. Not in the SNP. They lie about everything to obscure the truth, not obscure the lie. Anyway, more details about the secret SNP love affair revealed exclusively yesterday have emerged. One of those involved has now spoken out to say it wrecked his marriage. However, the man says he feels he can't go public because of what he calls repercussions on his family. In other words, he's been got at, he's been threatened by the thuggery of the SNP. And that, of course, is all... that bit alone, really, confirms the veracity of what the man is saying, because we know what the SNP are like. He says, "I am fearful about the repercussions, because if I did, talking about coming public, I'd have to protect my family at all costs. That," he said, "is the most important thing for me. However, I am relieved that people now know there was an affair, and the whole thing has been devastating for him." He says he was left reeling and feeling afraid for his own safety and for the safety of his family if he opened up about the affair. Now, I'm going to leave that there. We'll finish that, because I'm going to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, what we think. What do we see is the truth? Well, I think we all know what the truth is here. Now, I'm going to come up and we'll finish the video, but wait until I'll ask the question, and I'd like you to answer in the comments. But we'll come up and finish the video. So I said I would ask you a question, and I'm going to ask you this question. I'd like to see the answers in the comments. Do we believe the SNP, or do we believe the husband? Now, before you answer, think about this. If you believe the SNP, then you're looking at a party that has notoriously lied, that has within its ranks liars, provably liars, who have lied on many occasions, both within the chamber and to the press and the public. Or do we believe the spouse when he says it is an affair, it's wrecked his marriage, but he's been got at and forced to keep quiet because of the threats made by the SNP and their thugs? Which do we think is true? And will Humza Yousaf come out today and suggest and confirm, shall we say, that anyone who committed an adulterous affair during lockdown with someone to whom they are not married would resign, would be forced to resign, he would ensure they resigned, regardless of who it is, simply in keeping with the events of other people having to resign and the very calls he himself and his party have made over such similar affairs? What do we think will happen? I think we know, don't we? And I will come out and I will quite clearly say that if it is Humza Yousaf that is one of the people involved in this affair, if he does not resign, then we undoubtedly know that all the people who died during COVID did so while a man like Humza Yousaf was having an illicit affair with a woman who was not his wife during a lockdown and therefore breaking the law. And those people who died for nothing. They were locked down for nothing. People were locked down while the leaders of the party carried on and just screwed around and ignored their own laws. They forced other people to obey laws that they themselves felt they were above. And if that is Humza Yousaf, he's got no option but to resign. But let me know in the comments. Thank you very much. I'll stop there and we'll move on to the next video. I will speak to you later. Bye.